Hey Celtics fans, we are diving deep into some of the latest action with the Boston Celtics and analyzing what's really going on with this team right now. One of the players who has caught my attention recently is Amari Williams. There were a few plays in the last game that really stood out, even though they didn't get much spotlight. There was this one screen for Jaylen Brown that turned into a really smart cut down the lane, almost like a Daniel Tice kind of move, creating space and setting up a teammate in a high post position. It was a subtle play, but it showed good awareness and understanding of how to manipulate the defense. On another occasion, he delivered a clean pass to Baylor Sherman, who unfortunately missed a shot, but the vision and timing on that play were impressive. Amari's movement out of the post, working the high opposite side, and finding teammates in good positions is something that shouldn't be overlooked, and it adds a layer to his game that shows he can contribute in multiple ways. At the same time, there are areas where he needs to refine his approach. He went for a few block attempts that, in hindsight, left him out of position afterwards. It's a small thing, but in the NBA, those details matter a lot. Against teams like the Pistons, giving up offensive rebounds can be costly. And there were instances where Amari went for the block, didn't get it, and then turned to watch rather than box out the opponent. That's something he can improve on, learning when to contest and when to prioritize securing position for rebounds. There was also a play late in the game where Jaylen Brown got stuck, and Amari had an opportunity to act as an outlet and support his teammate, showing that understanding when to step in and help is key for his growth. Overall, the glimpses we saw were positive, and there's definitely potential to give him more opportunities, especially with Cade out. Even when Cade returns, Amari has earned the chance to see minutes, whether coming off the bench or in a rotational role. Understanding how to play alongside star players like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum is crucial, and getting him those reps will help him integrate into the system more efficiently. One approach could be giving Amari some NBA experience in small doses, then sending him back to the G League to work on specific aspects of his game. This method allows him to face NBA-level competition, identify areas that need improvement, and then refine them in a setting where mistakes are less costly. It's the kind of plan that worked well with other Celtics prospects and can be very beneficial here. By rotating between NBA minutes and development time in Maine, he can steadily improve, understand positioning, timing, and decision-making, and come back more prepared to contribute consistently. Additionally, experimenting with different lineups, such as going small with Amari as a rim protector or mixing him in with other versatile players, creates new options for the team. It introduces variety in matchups, keeps opponents off balance, and allows the Celtics to adjust their strategy dynamically during games. Watching how the Celtics adjust on the fly is fascinating. For example, the mix of players like Luka Garza and Amari provides a combination of size and defensive presence, but incorporating small ball lineups with nimble centers can completely change the pace of the game. It's like having different pitching styles in baseball. Sometimes you start with a fastball, then mix in a curve, and then go back to fastball. It keeps opponents guessing. Similarly, the Celtics can use lineups strategically, changing tempo, spacing, and defensive pressure, forcing other teams to constantly adapt. This flexibility could become one of the defining features of Boston's strategy this season, allowing them to exploit mismatches and stay unpredictable. The development of young players like Hugo Gonzalez also fits into this philosophy. His defensive acumen, positioning, and effort are remarkable for a player of his experience, showing glimpses of a potential future star. Not necessarily on the level of Tatum or Brown yet, but a player who can consistently impact games and contribute meaningfully in multiple areas. Another aspect of the game that deserves attention is the fine detail in defensive execution. For instance, the timing of fouls in critical moments can completely change outcomes. The example of fouling on the downward dribble rather than when a player is facing the rim demonstrates a high level of understanding and precision. Teaching these subtle defensive cues can prevent giving up easy points and make a team significantly harder to beat in clutch situations. The Celtics have been reinforcing these principles, ensuring that players not only have the athletic tools, but also the basketball IQ to execute consistently. Moments like these underline how preparation, film study, and attention to detail are just as important as raw talent. The combination of young talent development, lineup versatility, and execution of nuanced strategies is forming a Celtics team that can handle adversity while building toward long-term success. Speaking of long-term planning, Jason Tatum's potential return is something that has everyone talking. There's a strong belief that he could be back this season around the All-Star break, depending on his rehab progress. The priority is always his health and readiness, not rushing him back for short-term gain. Ideally, he would return gradually, getting limited minutes initially to regain his rhythm and reacclimate to the pace of the NBA. This allows him to rebuild his conditioning, timing, and familiarity with teammates' tendencies without undue pressure. It's about giving Tatum the chance to be fully prepared for next season, while still allowing the Celtics to benefit from his presence this year. During this return phase, he can work with different lineups, establish chemistry with players like Josh May and Luka Garza, and integrate into rotations that optimize team performance. The goal is a measured, strategic approach that balances immediate contribution with long-term readiness. Even as Tatum works back into the lineup, there is room for the Celtics to explore scenarios where he plays situational minutes rather than full starter minutes. This approach ensures that he is eased into game situations while maintaining his health and performance levels. By gradually increasing his role, the team can maintain competitiveness, observe how he interacts with other players, and make tactical adjustments accordingly. This phased return approach mirrors practices in other sports, such as baseball rehab assignments, where players regain competitive rhythm in a controlled environment before resuming full participation. The Celtics' handling of Tatum's return is not only about optimizing the present, but also about gathering critical information for the future, building chemistry, and ensuring that when he is fully reintroduced, the team can maximize his impact efficiently. These careful, strategic steps also apply to managing other emerging players, balancing development, and sustaining a winning culture in Boston. Continuing with the Celtics' current development and strategy, one of the most interesting aspects to watch is how they are managing minutes and rotations across the roster, especially with younger players like Amari Williams and Hugo Gonzalez stepping into more prominent roles. Amari, in particular, has shown flashes of the kind of player who could be both a defensive anchor and a situational contributor. His ability to protect the rim, contest shots without fouling unnecessarily, and maintain positional awareness will be crucial as the season progresses. There were moments where he excelled, making clean blocks and altering shots, which energized the team and shifted momentum. At the same time, his learning curve is apparent, particularly when it comes to boxing out after a block attempt or reading the flow of the game to provide timely support to teammates. Those subtle adjustments can have an outsized impact over the course of a season, and it will be fascinating to track his growth as he balances these responsibilities with the speed and skill level of NBA competition. The Celtics have also been experimenting with different lineup combinations, mixing traditional bigs with smaller, more versatile players, which creates an unpredictability that can be very difficult for opponents to handle. Luka Garza's minutes, for example, were more effective than many initially expected, providing a size presence and interior scoring option, while pairing him with players like Amari or small ball lineups allowed for more dynamic spacing and quicker transitions. This flexibility is one of the underappreciated aspects of the Celtics' strategy this season. By alternating between bigger lineups for defensive control and smaller, faster lineups to exploit pace mismatches, Boston is creating a level of strategic complexity that forces opponents to constantly adjust on both ends of the court. The comparison to pitching in baseball, where you alternate between fastballs and off-speed pitches, holds true. It keeps opponents off balance and allows the Celtics to dictate tempo in critical stretches. Observing how Brad Stevens or the coaching staff leverages this versatility will be key in understanding how this team might handle playoff scenarios, even without all of its star players available at full strength. On the defensive end, players like Hugo Gonzalez are proving that defensive IQ and positioning can be just as impactful as pure athleticism. Hugo's 6 minutes in one game showcased his anticipation, effort, and understanding of rotational principles, which is exactly the kind of contribution that builds trust within the rotation. He may not yet be Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown in terms of star power, but he embodies the qualities of a reliable two-way player who can influence outcomes beyond the stat sheet. As he continues to develop, his ability to read the game, make smart decisions, and execute consistently will become a cornerstone of Boston's depth. This is crucial for a team that may need to rely on its bench more heavily with injuries or to manage the workload of its star players across a long season. Watching the young players take these lessons and translate them into tangible on-court results is one of the most compelling storylines for Celtics fans this year. Jason Tatum's return adds another layer of complexity and excitement to the Celtics season. The careful management of his minutes and reintegration into the rotation is a delicate process. The goal is not just to bring him back physically healthy, but also to ensure he reacquires rhythm, timing, and comfort with the team's offensive and defensive schemes. Limiting him to 20 to 25 minutes per game initially allows him to regain competitive confidence without risking re-injury or overexertion. During this phase, he will work on chemistry with players like Josh May, Luka Garza, Hugo Gonzalez, and others, which will be invaluable when evaluating roster construction and future rotations. By easing Tatum into competitive situations and allowing him to experiment in different lineups, the Celtics can gather critical insights into which combinations produce the best results. This process also prevents placing undue pressure on him to perform at full capacity immediately, which is a smart approach for both his development and the team's long-term planning. The Celtics' approach to situational matchups and offensive adjustments is equally noteworthy. They are exploring ways to maximize scoring efficiency while maintaining defensive integrity. Whether it's running specific actions for Tatum, Brown, or role players like Amari Williams, the emphasis is on reading the game in real time and adapting accordingly. Small ball strategies, pick-and-roll options, and floor spacing are being tested in live game environments, giving the coaching staff invaluable data to optimize rotations and identify the most effective strategies against varying opponent styles. These tactical adjustments often fly under the radar, but could be the difference between a tight win and a frustrating loss. For Celtics fans, paying attention to how these rotations are handled, how players respond to in-game adjustments, and how new combinations mesh provides a deeper understanding of why the team wins or loses in specific scenarios. Equally important is player development off the court, particularly in learning situational awareness and basketball IQ. Teaching players like Amari or Hugo to recognize when a foul, when a box out, or when to cut into open lanes is as crucial as improving shooting mechanics or conditioning. Examples from recent games highlight how critical timing and awareness are, especially in close contests. Making the right defensive decision at the right moment, like fouling on a downward dribble rather than when a player is already set to shoot, shows the level of detail that can change outcomes in the most subtle yet impactful ways. These are teachable moments that contribute to a culture of discipline and awareness, allowing players to grow into roles that support the team strategically, not just statistically. As the season progresses, the accumulation of these lessons will translate into smarter, more cohesive team basketball, which is exactly what the Celtics are building toward. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are buzzing through the NBA landscape, and if the rumors are true, the Boston Celtics are about to redefine what it means to be a defensive powerhouse. Sources close to the organization suggest that the Celtics are closing in on deals for OG Anunoby and Isaiah Hartenstein, moves that could instantly transform their defensive identity. Imagine a front line so imposing, so unrelenting, that opponents hesitate even before crossing half court. That's the kind of talk filling Boston sports bars and locker room corridors. Anunoby, known for his versatility and ability to guard multiple positions at an elite level, has long been a coveted asset for teams seeking defensive stability without sacrificing athleticism on offense. Meanwhile, Hartenstein's rim protection and shot-blocking instincts could complement Boston's current roster in ways that make scoring inside feel almost impossible for rivals. Together, the duo could create a wall around the paint and perimeter alike, giving the Celtics a flexibility on defense that rivals in the Eastern Conference might struggle to navigate. Industry insiders are already speculating how Boston could deploy these two. Some envision Anunoby roaming the wings, disrupting perimeter shots and forcing turnovers, while Hartenstein patrols the paint like a sentry, turning the rim into a fortress. The chatter isn't just limited to strategy. It's also about the ripple effects these acquisitions could have on team chemistry. Boston has been known for meticulous planning and a culture that emphasizes cohesion, and adding two defensive specialists could elevate that culture to a near-intimidating level. Of course, nothing is official yet, and rival teams are undoubtedly keeping a watchful eye. If Boston manages to pull this off, the league could be looking at a seismic shift, a team that doesn't just play defense, but dominates it in a way few franchises have managed in modern NBA history. Fans are already dreaming of highlight reels filled with blocked shots, clutch steals, and fast breaks sparked by relentless defensive pressure. The Celtics might just be on the verge of building a defensive wall so formidable that opponents will need a new game plan entirely, or risk walking into a nightmarish gauntlet. The speculation continues to grow, and the city is electric with the possibility. OG Anunoby and Isaiah Hartenstein in green? That's the kind of rumor that keeps Twitter buzzing, sports radio firing on all cylinders, and fans glued to every report. Whether it becomes reality or remains tantalizing chatter, one thing is certain. Boston's defensive identity could be on the brink of a historic transformation. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.